Alright, I kinda hate myself for making this overview video on the 11th episode and not the 10th episode, because we all know that overview videos or walkthrough videos have to go on 10s. Like they have to go on the 10th episode, 20th, 30th. But here is Dumbass Poison who got carried away building a Wisent habitat or bison habitat and he moved past the 10th episode for that one. But anyways, hey everyone, my name is Poisonblade. I hope all of you are doing well today. And as I mentioned in the intro, today we're walking through Eve Zoo. Basically doing a bit of an overview of Eve Zoo because it's growing a lot. Like Eve Zoo in the past 2 months has grown from basically an experiment into the main project of the channel. But anyways, with that being said, before we get started with the walkthrough or the overview or the tour, whatever you want to call this video, because it's a mess. But before we get started with actually walking through Eve Zoo, don't forget to hit the like button because it does help out a lot with the algorithm. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with whatever this chaotic squirrel does. But anyway, let's get started walking around Eve Zoo. So yes, I still haven't fixed the sign. Like, Eve Zoo is going to have its own original sign, but I have to make that myself. And it's one of the things where it's like, I could build a building, or I could spend an entire day in Photoshop trying to make a sign for Eve Zoo, and then also having to make it into the actual Eve Zoo. So yeah, that's still not fixed. There's the junkyard over there. I guarantee you, everyone who builds in Planet Zoo, like all of those content creators, we all have a junkyard somewhere on the map where we put things that we think we might use later on. I mean, I know that I'm going to use that circle beam light, but we all have a junkyard. If you say you don't, you are lying, and I know it. I will. But anyway, let's go into Eve Zoo. So we're doing this overview from a guest perspective, and yes, as a guest, you don't really get the overall look of the entrance. Like, you don't see that this is actually a flower. It's just a roof structure. I should also probably make some actual doors so that you can actually close up Eve Zoo. Also, just a side note, and this you will see at the edges of Eve Zoo, but I like doing, don't camera. We all know that it's a poison overview or walkthrough, and I know that the camera hates me, but don't start doing it right now. But you will see this on the edges where I will just put up these fences to kind of, I don't know, I like the immersion that Eve Zoo is actually being built. So here's also a construction crane that I downloaded from the workshop because I can't build that. Like, my mind doesn't go to oh, this is realistic. My mind goes to, how can I make this habitat as funky as possible? This is also the reason why a lot of the times I will find something on Pinterest and I don't really have to worry about oh, somebody else is going to do it before me, because most of the time I pick the things that you think would be just awful to build. Like the things that are just look completely unable to be built. An otter got pushed back into their habitat or thrown back in. Yeah, so this is how the guests see the entrance, which I'm actually I have a slight feeling that I'm going to change this a little bit. But overall, it is a realistic entrance area. It has a lot of open space, some sitting areas for if you are with a group to gather around here and then move through the zoo. But yeah, this area I think needs some work. It's just, it doesn't hold up to the rest of Eve Zoo. But anyway, so with the otters, these are actually not the giant otters, these are the Eurasian otters, so I have to update the mod list for Eve Zoo. But if there's a European variant of an animal in Planet Zoo, I will use the mod. So beavers are coming to Eve Zoo, and I found Eurasian beavers. So thank you, Leaf, because the otters and the beavers And the Wisents or Wisents or wild cows, Leaf has all made them so far. The floating foxes are also made by Leaf. But yeah, so I changed the giant otters with the Eurasian otters so that now all of the animals in Eve Zoo are European animals, and some can act, well, most. Yeah, most. Not all of the animals in Eve Zoo are actually European animals because we have lemurs. And let's just move through the souvenir shop, which I still need to update. Like, it's kind of empty still. Let's run because Poison is very impatient, but yeah, the shelves are still a little bit empty. But the plushies though. It's still like, this is the one thing what I wanted to achieve with this souvenir shop. And that is, it doesn't look friendly. This looks like, well, I want to say, oh, these plushies are like $20, but that's normal. Plushies are always just very expensive. But come on, we all know that we are going to leave with a plushie. And if it's not a Red Panda plushie, you are out. Unsubscribe right now. Don't. Then we have the rainbow strollers, which... why did I make them? Like, this was, like, sometimes you just build something very early in the morning and you're completely out of it for the whole time. I almost can't remember building these strollers. But yeah, that was... I mean, my sleep schedule has gotten better. But this was definitely a woke up at 1 AM in the morning and started building kind of thing. Info desk still needs some work. It's a lot of interiors that I'm just like, yeah, we'll do that later. And then I forget about it. Do you guys have any of that stuff where it's like, oh yeah, I will do that later, and then you know that you're just not going to? Well, I'm eventually going to. Anyway, so badger. I swear I've put the badgers in here. You don't see them because they rarely come to this side. I only made it bigger this side because the souvenir shop is kind of encroaching into their habitat. But I swear, there are badgers in there. Although it could become just a running gag of like, did he actually put the badgers in there? Anyway, the sort of art piece. Don't know what I wanted to do with this. It was just like, oh, I need to fill up space. Because you don't want to have habitat and then habitat and habitat and habitat and habitat. You also want some space where just some kind of open area, a picnic area. Ooh, that's actually a nice idea for a picnic area. But anyway, let's move to the moose habitat. And I'm going to run again because I am impatient. I'm a squirrel. We could potentially see a baby moose. Because, yes, I had to redo the tour or overview so much that there's probably a lot of babies being born in Eve Zoo right now. I mean, we see the big daddy of the moose. Smaller moose, but I think that's an adult female. There should be a baby one somewhere. That's a barrel. I was going to say, oh yeah, that's a moose. No, it's not, Poison. Get your eyes fixed. I mean, I already wear glasses. Although I have been... Oh, there's a baby moose. Holy fuck! Well, she was hungry. Aww, the baby moose is sad. I mean, it's never a boring tour when it's a Poisonblade tour. But yeah, so this habitat is modeled after the beast boss. This is like a canal. You can't really see it here because, I mean, it's not meant to be seen. So of course the wall goes up here. But this is going to continue further on into what is going to be the parking lot. Or the subway station. Or bus stop. whatever kind of infrastructure I want to put in Eve Zoo. Yeah, we're not going to go up there. There's a specific reason or why all of the cinematic shots for the bison slash Wisent habitat were taken from below because I haven't worked really on the top area here. So we're not going to go up there. So we're not going to really see this area. But, oh, they're all sleeping. I'm also, yeah, this is a stable. And it is supposed to have individual stalls. But with the, like, how do you call it? The, like, size of the Wisents, that wouldn't really work. That would make it an intraversible. So, realistically wise, yes, there would be like individual stalls for them, but just with the hitboxes for the animals, I can't really do that. But there was also, I think Zoommaster said this in Discord, but they said like, oh, the Wisents or bisons could ram straight to them. I mean, I don't think they... Well, they can break the glass, that's obvious. But I think there's not enough space, and this is like reinforced metal, probably. It's also like thick glass. This is something I do with everything when it comes to glass. I always put in 2 panels, just because it then becomes completely opaque on one side, but still see-through on the other. Didn't do that with this one, because they can't really get up here because of the stones. But yeah, also in other cases, like, there should be guards around the trees, but here's the thing. I will choose aesthetics over realism, and it just looks prettier with full, like, crazy foliage and such. So it should be more realistic to have, like, the grass having empty patches, and having the trees with, like, the guards surrounding them, so that they are not, like, destroyed by the bisons or the Wisents. But it just looks better to have it like this. And also in nature, the trees don't grow with guards surrounding them. So I can still use the natural thing. I will always say, the lighting in Planet Zoo is so much better than in Planet Coaster. And then with all of the things that you can do with the foliage, it's... Anyway, the windmills... Just because I like them. Again, the massive crane. Kudos to who made this crane. I can have the memory of a goldfish, but I will put them in the description. Hopefully I will not forget to put the mods in the description like I did with the last video. Anyway, let's go back to the badgers. See, I put a badger in. It's even a baby badger. Hello? Now, I can say there's badgers. There should be more, but who knows? The badgers are like the badgers are the ones that die off the fastest. I'm not lying. I've been building in Eve Zoo, and twice I've come to this habitat and found it empty. And then I just threw all of the badgers in there. There should be 5 in there. But most likely, a lot of them have died. Because of old age. But yeah, there's a badger in there. It's not a mirage, it's not an hallucination. There's a badger. The rest is probably sleeping. Or just... Well, this is the side effect, or negative side effect of having all of the foliage. They just completely disappear in it. Anyway, I have some natural pots just because I like mixing up the pots. I also, all of the pots so far, in like finished areas in Eve Zoo, are custom made. Some of them are fake, because this is obviously too small for the guests to use. But if an area is finished, it will have a custom pot. Except for these natural pots. Because I like these, and then having like the rocks to be like the curb this is probably the area that has been the biggest headache to me. And I'm just going to say it. I have sent Eve Zoo into Planet Zoo or to Planet Zoo to fix that. What was it? Vet bug, where there was a vet that was stuck because a lemur was stuck. So there was constantly a dead lemur lying in the habitat. But I sent Eve Zoo to Planet Zoo team basically to fix that bug. Yeah, that's been 3 weeks ago. It's basically a month. I haven't heard back from them. I'm not saying anything, but in that time, I managed to rebuild Eve Zoo. Although the habitat blueprinting is very powerful when it comes to that. But I still had to fix all of the roads. We have been 1, 2, 4, 5 episodes later. It's also nice for the lemurs to come out when we actually do a tour. They usually gotta stick into the building. Not like clipping or something, but they keep there. Also, this is just an addition just to prevent any of those vet bugs from going in later, because this island was unreachable by the vets or any staff for that matter, which then resulted in, like, if a lemur died on this island, it could very easily become stuck. So I built a bridge. It's kind of like, it's not the best, like I love this place a lot more without it, but this is just to prevent a bug. Then we have the small area that's basically just like, oh yeah, something against deforestation. I don't know why it took me so long to remember that word. I wonder, can we get through this? So this is one of the areas that I still need to work on a lot. I don't know if we can get through it. We can. So I made a staff area. This was originally going to be an episode with like the veterinarian building and such, and just staff building. But then I kept building. And this was just like, I haven't worked on this enough. Like, I mean, you can see that here. But I haven't worked on it enough to make it into a full episode, and then it became so long ago, I deleted. No, I think I still have the recordings of building the vet building. I don't know if I have it still for the staff building. But yeah. Again, 1 AM Poison is very active. Not as much recently anymore, though. Of course, there's some cracked stone because it's a backstage area. You know, there's always going to be, like, the backstage areas are going to be a little bit more worn out. Also, yes, this was supposed to be a wheelchair ramp. It is not accessible to wheelchairs because it's too steep, but we can, well, still make use of it. We won't, though. Because it's basically leading us to another unfinished area. Again, as shown by the construction walls. Fences, something along those lines. But yeah, again, I like just having that immersion of like, oh, Eve Zoo is actually being worked on. Instead of just having areas where all of the buildings stop, having these fences to block sight of those areas. And then having, as said, construction cranes and such in the background. It's just nice. Here we have the interior. It's nice to finally have the animals working with you. Although we still need to check up on the mental state of that moose. And there. Oh, it's a baby, I think. Or Poison just doesn't know. Yeah, it is a baby because it, or it's a female because it's smaller than that one. Still 2 guys chilling. I don't actually know if it's 2 guys, but just 2 lemurs chilling on a rope, probably pooping on you. Like, that's the main thing with this area. You know you're going to get pooped on. Lemurs are monkeys, right? Or a kind of monkey. So you know you're just going to get pooped on. That's just inevitable. It's part of the experience. You actually pay extra for it. And then let's go up to Valhalla, which is very intimidating. Although not as intimidating with the giant crane in the background. But anyway, before we get into the crane, let's go into the flower garden. Yeah, this was just like, I don't know what to do with this area. And like, I couldn't build a habitat here. Building another shop here would make no sense because then it would just be so crowded here. But a flower garden could work really well. Then we have another view of the otters, which, just because they are Eurasian otters, they are so tiny that I put like 10 in here. Like, I first had 4 giant otters, but because the Eurasian otters are so small, I needed to put more in here just to make it feel like there was actually anything in here. This habitat is too large for Eurasian otters. But hey, now we have tiny worms. I mean, they look kind of like worms, or caterpillars from here. Some plants sticking through the... I mean, there's going to be weeds. Like, that's any zoo. There's going to be places where like the plants go out of the or out beyond the barriers. Having some nice flowers. I still like, I wish we got an effect which had like bees or butterflies or something. Because you know that this area would just be insect heaven. Like, not just bees, but also just other insects. But yeah, just a lot of flowers. We have the bicycle. We're cycling safari going through here. Actually with like giveaway signs, or as we call them in the Netherlands. What was that? Haaientanden, which basically means shark teeth. Yeah. I can't really go into... Well, I can actually, because as long as I don't go fully out into like the... porch, terrace, something. English words are fun. But yeah, the bar, all of the lights. Of course, Valhalla is meant to be shown during night, but this is a daytime viewing. Maybe we will do a nighttime viewing with like the 21st episode. Because you know, if you are an episode late, instead of like the perfect number 10, you then have to adhere to the number that you've chosen. So this being on the 11th episode, that means the next overview would then be on the 21st episode. This is still like one of the biggest letdowns when it came to restaurants in Planet Zoo. Where are the... Alright, where are your fucking plates? Like, which restaurant doesn't have plates? Especially a restaurant like Valhalla, you would have plates here. And you would probably have to take off your hat. Or at least these hats. But yeah. You know, they were just so embarrassed that they didn't have plates that they just vanished into thin air. You see? Those were also embarrassed. Just vanished into thin air. As they should. Valhalla doesn't take your crap. But yeah, that was just the biggest disappointment when it came to restaurants in Planet Zoo. And then we get into the deer habitat. This is again one of those natural pods because I kind of had this idea for the deer habitat and the Alpine Ibex, the goat habitat, for this like forest looking area. Kind of like, oh, this is the Dutch or the European forest area. Just as you would have like an African area, here you have the Dutch forest area. Or European forest. Because the boozers aren't currently living in the Netherlands. But they could potentially be. Because, I mean, there have been studies. Another wheelchair elevator. And just with the markings of like, hey, the gates open outwards. There's the signs. Again, I just put things in areas where, like this is the second junkyard. But this is like just the entire sign blueprint. I don't want to get too close because I know we will get stuck on the railing. And also I know the fallow deer don't have a shelter. they don't have that in the wild as well. But I should probably build something for them here. But it just looks a lot nicer without it. Animal welfare or aesthetics? We all know that Poison chooses aesthetics. Where's the big deer? Oh, there he is. Thank you. The animals are a little bit insane, but at least they're not pooping. Because I toggled that off. I've deactivated pooping. They all have corks in their asses. Because you know what would have happened if I didn't toggle that off. Anyway, let's go to the downstairs area. Which was a major pain. It was very annoying to build. Because, like, the pot is, like, straight up here. But hey, if you want to get, like, down and personal with the deer, you can do that. We didn't do that with the goats, because who wants to do that with goats? Also, just a nice view of, like, Eve Zoo. Just look at this. With the lighting and such. I limited the amount of guests for Eve Zoo. Because there used to be 2,000. I put the limit at 500. Just so that we have a little bit of open space in the zoo. Because the otter habitat, the badger habitat, and I think the lemur habitat, although it could have also been the moose habitat, would just be completely flooded with guests. That's one of the... Well, it is actually a realistic thing that some habitats will draw in more people than other habitats, but yeah, we wouldn't have seen the actual animals because we would just have seen guests. But then humans are animals. Yeah, so nice view. We know that this grass is going to get trampled. Because pictures. But then we have Starbucks. Bush. What was it? Star Fox Coffee? I don't know. Red Fox Coffee? Street Fox Coffee. Yeah, it is... I mean, in the reference, it didn't show that it was a Starbucks shop. I can say that. Though later I found, like, the reference image was like a 3D thing. It was a 3D concept art for, like, a building. But then I found the actual realized building, and yes, it's a Starbucks shop. I mean, of course, don't get stuck on benches, Poison. It's fancy enough. It's fancy, but we also know that this coffee, it's going to be like $10. Hey, at least water in Valhalla is $12, so you're getting a bit of a cheaper deal here. Because Valhalla is expensive. More construction fences, because immersion. Although here's not... Well, we could work on this if the seals get a few more votes. Anyway, let's go down to the actual Ibex area. So there's something wrong with this rock. Because every time one of the Ibexes goes up here, they float. Eve Zoo has a problem with floating. Hey, and they for once haven't decapitated Scarecrow. Alright, goodbye. Hey, big guy. And tiny guys. A lot of tiny guys. Oh, so you have been the ones that have been breeding like rabbits. I thought it was the lemurs. Yeah, I constantly get notifications of like animal has had offspring. But I don't pay attention enough to which animal has had offspring. So I know that one of the animals was breeding like rabbits. And it seems that the Ibexes were the ones. They are very happy with their habitat though. I am also very happy, especially with like these fences. It's nice. Then we have a backstage area, which of course isn't really worked on because I don't care about them. Well, Those are usually the things that I will do last. What is it with animals are running today? But yeah, so... Hi. I think between the deer habitat and the goat habitat, I like the goat one more. Just because it's just... There's a little bit more thought put into it, I think. With like the fences, just the rocky terrain. This also provides no protection to the rain. Does protect you against the sun though. So it's going to be useful 3 days in a year. Everybody in Britain or England, Scotland, Ireland, basically just all of Northwestern Europe can agree with me. We have sun 3 days a year. And we are very happy when it comes. Like, we just like all of the winter, fall and spring clothes just explode off of you and all of the shorts and everything comes out. Anyway, let's walk back. So this is also supposed to be another like, you know, about the bees, because Eve Zoo is all about the bees, you know, the big fluffy bees, but I want to build like insect hotels just to really drive that point home of like, oh, this is why Eve Zoo is all flowers and such, because we have a lot of bees. All of the bees is the slogan for Eve Zoo. No, it's not, Poison. Shh. Yeah, I like Eve Zoo. I should probably also number like episode 1, episode 2. What came after? No, wait. Episode 1, episode 2. I mean, still in the right direction. 3, 4, 5. I mean, that would be helpful just to show you guys which build came from which episodes. Probably be helpful. But yeah, this area is probably the one that is eventually going to see a bit of a change, because it feels weird. Feels a little bit out of place. Again, I love the construction crane. I like that immersion faction, because like Eve Zoo is not a finished shoe. And so having construction cranes around, like the smaller cranes as well, they're just like... Well, actually we have one visible here. But having these cranes around just makes it feel realistic with construction going around in the background. I mean, we have this area. Not that, like... I think the most noteworthy thing is like the sign. But I think that's going to be it for the tour. So, where should we leave it off? I mean, why do I even ask? We all know that we're going to the spot where we can see the Lemur Island and everything. And maybe we are going closer to what's going to be the next build. Maybe. Also, I am an idiot because I wanted to make this walkthrough or overview at most 30 minutes and we are here for 43. Yay! Nope. Not this area. This area. So we're going to close it off on this shot with the lemur going crazy in the background. Yep. Thank you for going crazy. Stop hopping. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this overview of Eve Zoo. I've been enjoying this project a lot. This project started as kind of an experiment. I never thought I would really get into like modern realistic zoos or realistic, sort of realistic-ish zoos as much as I have. But I'm very happy and I'm also very proud with how Eve Zoo is progressing. Also, yes, this is the only security camera in Eve Zoo. Go and rob the place if you want. They can't spot you. But with that being said, again, hope you enjoyed this overview. If you did, there is the like and subscribe button. If you want to see more, the next build will be... I don't know. We will see what late night Poison comes up with, but with that being said, there's also the notification button, but before that one starts working, the lemurs will stop hopping. Stop it. Yes, I'm looking at you. We know you're going to hop. But anyways, that's it for today's video, and have a wonderful day, guys. Bye bye.